Hey guys, how are you going? It's Ingrid here, and today I am telling you everything that I'm reading in the month of November, and I'm going to be participating in the Believathon, or the Believe in the Impossible Readathon. It is a month-long readathon only focusing on middle grade books. It is hosted by Gavin. I'll have the link, that's what it's called. I'll have the link to his announcement videos. He has two, so I'll have both of them linked down below. And he made this compendium. He made this compendium that has all of the prompts, and it has recommendations. It has recommendations for every prompt, and now there is 10 prompts plus the group book, but you can like mix and, is that the right word? Can you tell it's getting late? You can choose one book from multiple challenges, so you only have to read 4 books, but I chose one for each of them, and I did the math and I figured out, okay, it's possible. It's possible to read all 11. I have like how many pages I need to read, and I'm not working that much in November, so hopefully I will get to it. And then Gavin posted another video having themed days, and I want to participate in those. And so before I get into my actual TBR, I'm gonna mention what I might be reading for the theme days. Now I just need to look at my phone to see what the dates were. So we have a classics weekend, and I already have classics on my TBR, so that one is good. We have a Magic of Christmas weekend, which is to read for a seasonal book, which is also on my TBR. And then we have Disney Day, which I'm probably going to be watching some Disney movies. And then we have some other dates. I'll have those linked down below. But the one that made me have to add to my TBR is the lovely Roald Dahl Day. And that is on November the 6th. So I've read a lot of Roald Dahl growing up. I think his grandparents are Norwegian or something like that, so we learn a lot about him in school. We read a lot of his books, and so I have a lot of them. And my 2 favorite books of his is Matilda, of course, and Dustnet, and I believe the English translation is The Twits, or not the translation, the original title is The Twits. And this one is a lot bigger than this one, so I'm not gonna read Matilda this month, but hopefully I will be reading I'm gonna double check, The Twits. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I will be reading this one. It is less than 100 pages, I'm pretty sure. And so I'm not using this for any challenge, just reading it because it's Roald Dahl and I want to participate. And then I also have 2 more Roald Dahl books that I might read. Not sure, but they're really short. We have Giraffen, Pelle og jeg, and Adopt Links, and I need to look up what the English titles for these are. I cannot pronounce the English title for this. It says Esiotrot? I don't know. And then this one, the original title is The Giraffe and the Pelle and Me. And both of these are super short, so if on November the 6th, I believe I'm not working, so if I have a bunch of time, I'm also going to be reading these 2. But now let's get into the books that are actually going to make me complete challenges. So I'm going to be using this wonderful compendium. You can definitely see that Gavin put so much work into it, so I wanted to print it out and use it. It has like the introduction and everything, but I won't go through that. If you want to go through all of it, I'll have his announcement video, as I said, linked down below. He goes through every prompt and what it says and all that good stuff. The first prompt is read a book featuring magic. Now, if you've been to my channel before, you know that the majority of the books that I read involves magic. So this one was an easy one for me. And the reason why I ended up with the book that I chose is because it's out from the library and I could not find another prompt that it fit for. So that's why I chose it. And that is The Lost Tide Warriors by Catherine Doyle. This is the sequel to The Stormkeeper's Island, which I read a couple months ago, and I really liked it, so of course I picked up the second one. This one just came out a couple months ago, last month, the month before, something like that. It's relatively new, and so I'm not going to say anything about the plot of this one, so I'll just pop up the cover for the first book. and said that that one is about a boy that I don't know if I can pronounce the name right. Fionn or Fionn? I'm gonna say Fionn. So he's a boy, he's gonna go to his grandpa, visit him on this island with his sister, and they figure out that the island is magical. And that's all I really want to say. If you love candles, this is definitely a book for you, because there's a lot of candles and magic and like memories, and I really, really liked it. So that's why I have the sequel on the list, because I'm just excited to see where the story goes. So yeah. Prompt number 2 is to read a book featuring myths or legends. And for this one, I'm gonna go with one of the ones that is pictured. Foggy brain plus 10 o'clock at night is not a good combo. But I'm gonna go with one of the ones that is pictured on the compendium. Can you tell that English is my first language? Has that been obvious at all? My pick is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, book 3, The Titan's Curse. I read book 1 and 2 quite a while ago, and I just reread them both in graphic novel form so that I would know kind of where the story had gone. So I'm excited to continue. If you have not heard of the Percy Jackson series, we follow this boy named Percy, and he figures out that he is a demigod, which means that his mother is mortal and his dad is a god. And then he has to go on this quest, and it's a fun adventure. And so I'm up to book 3 so far, and I'm really liking it. This is actually the first books I've ever read with Greek mythology, I believe. I've read a lot with like Northern mythology because I live in Norway, but I have not read that much about the Greek myths, and so it's interesting to kind of get to know them in this way. Of course, it's not like factual, it's a fantasy. But yeah, this is book number 3, and I'm really excited to get to it. Next up, we have to read a book featuring real world issues. And for this prompt, I've chosen one that I've already started, but I'm going to restart it, and that is called The Spinner of Dreams by K.A. Reynolds. But yeah, this is so good so far. I started it at the beginning of October, and I absolutely loved it. I got like 40 pages into it, and then I had to travel, and then I started my new job, and so I just never had the time to sit down and read it. And this is definitely one that I want to like sit down and give it my all of my time to. So I'm gonna restart it and then read the whole thing during this readathon. The real world issue that this features is PTSD and anxiety, just a lot of mental health representation. And so we follow this girl named Annalise, and she is cursed by the Fate Spinner, I believe is the one that cursed her. And so everything that goes wrong, they blame her. It was just so, the first 40 pages were so good. I'm so excited to see a main character that has PTSD and anxiety, and I'm hyped. Now the next prompt is to read a book set in the past, and this was one that I struggled with a little bit because I tried to pick unread books from my shelf for the most part, and I don't have a lot that's set in the past. But the one that I found was Heidi by Johanna Spiri. Now I have read this as a child, but I think I read like an easier version of it, and I read it in Norwegian, not in English. And I have this beautiful Puffin and Bloom edition, and I remember loving this story. I remember loving the movie that they made, and so I'm just excited to get to reread it. And this is set in the 1800s. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't remember that much about the plot. I know we follow Heidi, and I believe she goes to visit some relative, and that's the worst summary ever. I'll have the Goodreads link in the description for all of these books if you want to check them out. I don't really want to know the details of this story, simply because I remember loving it so much as a kid, so that's really all I need. The next one is to read a book with a strong sense of friendship. And again, I'm going with one of the recommendations, and that is The Polar Bear Explorers Club by Alex Bell. I first heard of this from Jade from JD Ray Reads, I believe her channel name is. I'll have her linked in the description. And she absolutely loved this, and so I picked it up. Also, it matches one of my tattoos. I don't know if you can see, but that's also a plus. And I don't know 100% what it's about, but you follow this group of friends that is a part of the Polar Bear Explorers Club, and I don't need to know more. It's a polar fantasy, it's polar bears. What more would you need? And I do know that Gavin is also planning to read this for this prompt, so that's pretty exciting. I know I'm talking a lot about it, but he created the whole readathon, you know, and he has his TBR, but also another video that is authors recommending books for the prompts, so I'll have that linked in the description if you need any more recommendations for what to read. Next up is to read a creepy or atmospheric book, and again I'm going with one of the suggestions, and that is City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This is the only other library book on my TBR, because as I said, I'm trying to read some of the ones on my shelf, but I've been wanting to read this one, and so I had to take this chance. And I'm gonna be just completely honest, I have not loved Victoria Schwab's other books. I've read This Savage Song and the first book in the Shades of Magic series, and both of them were just okay. But this one sounds so interesting. We follow this girl named Cass, and she can see dead people or talk to dead people or something with ghosts. And her parents have a TV show about hauntings, is that what it is? They have a TV show about the world's most haunted places. And this takes place in Edinburgh, and it just sounds so good. I'm currently reading both The Diviners and Ninth House, and both of them I'm absolutely loving, and so this kind of gives me those vibes, and so I'm hoping for it to be spooky, and I'm excited. How many times have I said I'm excited in this video? Next up is to read a seasonal book, and if you didn't know, I live in Norway, which is northern part of Europe, so for me we're going into winter season right now, and so I chose Witchwood by Tahara Mafi, and just look at this cover. Does not just scream like winter. And this is the companion book to Furthermore by Tahara Mafi, which I absolutely loved. I read it a couple of years ago. It was my favorite middle grade after I read it, and it's been a while now, so I'm not sure if it would still be my favorite, but it was amazing. And so I picked up the sequel, or the companion book, and I haven't read it, but I believe in Tahara Mafi, and I believe this one will be just as good. You're not following the same main character, but I believe some of the characters from Furthermore will make an appearance in this book as well. But our new protagonist is called, I might be mispronouncing this, but Laylee, and basically her job is to wash dead people. Yeah, it says that it's a magical adventure in a dark Persian fantasy, and that has me sold. So again, don't really know the whole plot of this book, but it sounds amazing. And the cover just with the snow on it and the red, I know like roses might not be like seasonal, but with the red I'm thinking of like Christmas, and as I said, you see like all the snow. So yeah. The next part is to read a book featuring an animal character, and the character either can talk or influence the story are required to fill this whimsical prompt. Now this one was actually harder than expected, but I'm going with Alice's Adventure in Wonderland, and I might also read Through the Looking Glass, but I'm only gonna put the first one on my required TBR. But if you have not heard of Alice in Wonderland, then it's about this girl named Alice, and she sees this rabbit hop into this rabbit hole, and so she follows the rabbit, and she ends up in Wonderland. And things happen. I'm excited to read this because I never have. I watched the Disney version, not the live action one, but the old one, and I really enjoyed that as a kid, but I've never actually read it, and so I'm excited to finally do so. And the animal character is the White Rabbit because he influenced the whole story, like the kind of point of the story is that she follows him. But I also, if I remember correctly, there's a cat that talks, and there might be like more talking animals, so they definitely play a big part of this story. The next prompt is to read a children's classic, and I just now realized that I can use my Roald Dahl book for this, but I already had picked one out, so could make it easier for me, but will I? No. So I'm gonna read Winnie the Pooh by A.A. Milner? I used to read this as a kid, the Norwegian version, but I found this English version in a used bookstore in London, and so I wanted to read the original. And if you don't know what Winnie the Pooh is about, then you're missing out. It used to be my favorite thing as a kid. Just last year, I actually dressed up as Winnie the Pooh for Halloween. That's how much I love this character. But you follow these. I just realized I can use this for the animal prompt as well. All the realizations, but I'm sticking to my TBR. I put so much work into it. I'm getting so distracted. Anyway, we follow a group of animals. So we have Winnie the Pooh, which is a bear, and then we have, I just realized I don't know the English names for any of the other ones. So I'm just reading on the back, and it says, enter the enchanting world of the 100-acre wood and enjoy all sorts of adventures, from hunting woozles and catching a heffalump to going on an expedition to the North Pole and saving Piglet from the flood. It's just fun and cute, and it's gonna make me feel all the feels that I did when I was a kid. I'm so excited about all these books. The next prompt is to reread your personal childhood favorite. And when I read this, there was really only one When I read this, I realized there was really only one book that I could put on this list. And if you're like one of the 2 people that used to know me when I was a kid watching this video, you know which book it's gonna be. And that's Molly Moon. Do you see this cover? It's like tacky, but I love it, you know? But yeah, I need to figure out what the original title is. So the original title is Molly Moon's Incredible Book of Hypnotism. And we followed this girl named Molly Moon. She's an orphan, because like, who isn't in books these days? And she has a pug, and she finds this book of hypnotism, and it's about what she does with that. I don't want to read more into what it's about, because this used to be my absolute favorite as a kid. This is the first book I remember crying about. Maybe not this one, I don't remember. It's a series, so but I remember this series made me cry, it made me laugh, it made me fangirl, it made me go tell all my friends to go read it, and I have not read it since. And I found this copy in a used bookstore here in Norway, and I was like, I need to own it, and I need to reread it, and I just never have, because I'm terrified of it not living up to the hype that I have put out for it, which is all my fault. But I'm terrified. Like, what if this is actual, you know? But yeah, I am hesitantly excited to delve back into this. It's a bigger book than some of the other ones, but it's got pretty big font, so it should be fine. And there was really no other book that I could have chosen, because this is definitely the book that made me a book nerd. And that was the 10 prompts, and then the 11th book is the group book. And I don't have my copy yet, because I'm pre-filming this, because I'm gonna be working for 5 days straight, which isn't a lot for normal people, but for me, that has been pretty sick, it's a lot. And so I'm pre-ordering this. I'm sorry this video is a mess, okay? I'm pre-filming this, but I have ordered the book. And so the book is Frostheart by Jamie Lidler. Yeah, and I'm so excited for this one. And I'm gonna be cheating and reading off Gavin's little description of the book. And it says, in a world where strongholds are scattered through the snow sea and monsters live amongst the snowy wastelands, a young boy named Ash unleashes his powers and saves a crew aboard the Frostheart. Banished from his stronghold, he joins a colorful cast of characters aboard the Frostheart on an epic adventure to find his missing parents. And I've heard Gavin pitch this as a Frozen meets How to Train Your Dragon meets Nevermore. So do you really need to know more? I have really high hopes for this book. Like, really high hopes. But hopefully it will live up to it. I am super excited, and because it's the group book, hopefully I'll have a lot of people to discuss it with afterwards, and hopefully fangirl about it. So that was it for my TBR. That was the 11 plus Roald Dahl books that I plan on reading in the month of November. Why am I doing this to myself? Why didn't I just pick 4? I still deep down have like a hope that I'm gonna read all of this and then more, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I'll have, as I said, the links to all of these books, to Gavin's channel, and anything you will need to know is in the description, as well as my social media. I just started a Bookstagram page account. I'll have it linked, as well as my Twitter and my Goodreads and whatever else that you need. It's probably in there. But yeah, let me know if you're participating in the Believathon and what books you're reading, or if you've filmed a video, or if you're not participating but reading something else exciting. Just chat to me in the comments. And if you want to, you can subscribe, and in that way I will see you in my next video. Bye.